Om Namaste Astu Bhagavan Vishveshwaragya Mahadevagya Trayambakagya Tripurantakagya Trikalagnikalaya Kalagni Rudragya Neelakantagya Mrityunjayagya Sarveshwaragya Sadashivagya Sriman Mahadevaya Namaha. Childhood, we saw what happens. Babyhood, infancy, where there is no ability to express oneself. And as a result, the body of the child becomes, and also no say over the limbs, the organs of action, the sense organs. The body of the child becomes a sitting duck for all kinds of difficulties. It becomes a bed bug buffet, and what else, and it is left at the mercy of sometimes negligent or sometimes abusive caregivers. And this is important to look at, because otherwise one thinks, okay, why should we worry about one or two mosquito bites? What is the big deal? It is to those are the mosquito bite is just a upalakshana. It's a figure of speech. It's one thing to include all other difficult babyhood, infancy traumas which leave a lasting impact upon the child as it grows up. That is what it is. So many core issues, fears, tears are there, and this is part of childhood. No matter how functional the parents, no matter how loving, there will always be omissions and commissions, because the parents are not perfect. They are who they are because that's how it is. And so there will be omissions and commissions which will be internalized by the child. Certain misperceptions, subjectivity, all that must be included in this experience of childhood, because it is a very important marker, because it bleeds into adulthood, youth, adulthood, old age, etc., and creates a patina, a veneer of subjectivity, because of which one is unable to transact any kind of activities, transact any kind of business without the shadow of pain, sorrow, misperception, and fear. This is why this stotra, this becomes very important, because when we say Kshantavyo me aparadha Shiva 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 Bho Shri Mahadeva Shambho, we are asking to be relieved. We are asking to be relieved from the gamut of all these influences, especially the pain, the effects of those pains and sorrows, either perceived or some scars from the past. And please take that away, especially considering the fact that I did not know any better. Shankaram nasmarami. I did not think that, okay, there is Lord Shiva and I have to say Om Namah Shivaya. I have to pray. I had no idea. I was so much lost in my own world and reproducing that world, trying to defend myself, trying to survive against all odds. Where would I have the time to open up to you? Where would I have that knowledge? And so please take all this pain of childhood away. There are regrets, and so many regrets are there. I could have done this better. I didn't. I should have done that differently. I didn't. Take all of this away. Then after childhood, what comes? Show some signs of life, no? Yeah, now we know each other. What comes after childhood? Teenagers, youth. Yeah, very good. So, let's see what happens in youth. Okay. प्रौढोऽहं यौवनस्थो विषयविषधरैः पञ्चभिर्मर्मसन्धौ दष्टो नष्टो विवेकः सुतधनयुवतिः स्वाद सौख्ये निषण्णः शैवी चिन्ताविहीनं मम हृदयमहो मानगर्वाधिरूढम् क्षन्तव्यो मे पराधः शिव 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 भो श्रीमहादेव शम्भो Praudhoham. In fact, there is an interesting pun. Praudha with a dha, the D sound over which there is its aspiration is done, and aspirated sound dha means, praudha means youth. But this is also the time when one is very proud, okay, without the aspiration. So there's an interesting interlanguage pun going on here. Praudhoham, we can take it because of what is going to come later. Praudhoham means we can take it as, I am now an adult, but then I'm also extremely proud, arrogant, because that is when the ego dances and it is at its height. Because in somebody said teenage, okay, teenage, young adulthood, etc. What happens in adulthood is that one feels that one is on top of the world. One can overcome anything. One is all in all. And there is a overdeveloped sense of kartritva, agency. One feels empowered, one feels entitled, one feels that there's nothing that one can overcome. And so this is going to be talked about in this particular verse, but let us see the meaning. Praudhoham, I am now an adult, yauvanasthaha, have entered this young adult age. And then I'm sitting in yauvana. Yauvanasthaha means I am in this age of youth. What happens here? And Vishaya Vishadharaihi Panchabhir Marma Sandhau. I seem to be bitten by snakes. Oh, that's terrible. What a horrible situation. What do you mean I'm bitten by? What do you mean he's bitten by snakes? Vishaya Vishadharaihi. What kind of snakes? The snakes of longing. I am bitten by the snakes of longing. A Trishna. Trishna means a kind of a quenchless thirst for this, that, or the other. And the list is so big. You just ask somebody, what do you want? And then, how much time do you have? That is what it is. List is so huge. Starting with starting with all the things that one wants. That comprises part of the list. And then what else? How should other people behave? That is also part of the list. And then still more, what should the weather be like? It should always be like how it is this evening, so pleasant, so cool. It should be like this all the time. So like this, there's a whole list of wishes which never stops. It is one you fulfill, the other one comes up. The third one you fulfill, fourth one and fifth one and sixth one are already there. So much so that in the West, when a person is elderly, they make one more list. What is that called? Bucket list. Very good. Bucket list. The idea is before you kick the bucket, you make a list. Whether you fulfill those wishes or not, you put them down. And you say, I have to go, I have to do this things, impossible things, and is a non-engineering 92-year-old making a list. I have to go scuba diving. I have to go, I have to do this, I have to do that. And I have to go. There's one more sport. I've never understood it. This bungee cord jumping, something. In the last life, one must have been a spider. To go back and forth. No other explanation. No other explanation. That samskara is still there. And then there is a longing for this. These kinds of experience. It makes no sense. The fellow, when he gets up, he's dizzy. And so these kinds of, this is all on the bucket list. Have to go here, and some kind of wanderlust. Have to visit this place, have to visit that place. And then even after coming to spiritual life, one is constantly on a pilgrimage. I have to go here, I have to visit that temple, this, that. Nothing wrong, but there is this is the list, that whole lot of lists that people have. And in the Hindu tradition, we don't have the problem. We say better luck next time. Right? So we have plenty of lives, so we don't have to worry. There is no pressure. At least there should not be, ideally speaking, pressure to fulfill everything all at once, just now, right here, right now. That is not there. Next time, better luck next time. Oh, I didn't have the kind of children I wanted. Doesn't matter. Next time you may have something, you know. Better luck next time. And oh, I didn't get to live in the kind of house I wanted. Next time, don't worry, you'll have a bigger house. This is all that is. These are all mantras that are chanted at the funerary services. Yeah, the relative come and say, I was not, the spouse will come and say in front of the body, I was perhaps not a great spouse to you, better luck next time. The children also say this, and with these wishes, the departed is sent away, and we bid farewell. And so, like this, here, all these huge lists are there. And here, the Shankaracharya says that these lists have to somehow, they are connected with the five sense organs. Panchamarma Sandhi. So they are the sense organs are pointed out because the sense organs connect to the objects. Otherwise, how will you know that there is an object that you find desirable? It's not possible to know. Because if you can't desire an unknown object. An unknown object is not an object of desire because you simply don't know it. So first the sense organs go out, as it were, contact that, and you can't blame the sense organs. They are just reporters, they are journalists. They go and say, there is some wonderful smell coming from the kitchen. And that's all they say. And then the desire arises to go have whatever is being made. That is, the desire comes later. And so the sense organs are the windows for to bring information about the objects of desire. And here, the objects of desire, there's another pun, Vishaya. Vishaya means objects. And that also has a very interesting derivation. Vishinoti badhnati iti vishayaha. Vishinoti means that which ties, which binds you to experience it, which catches hold of you and creates a longing and creates a pressure-filled longing so that you cannot get it out of your head. So this is Vishaya. Then we have another word, Visha. Visha means poison. And so the two words are used next to each other. Vishaya Vishadharaihi. So these Vishayas, which are like goblets of poison. So by this, my sense organs are assailed by the sense objects, too much information, too many choices. In fact, the choices in the modern age are actually oppressive. One cannot make a decision. There are so many things to choose, what to do. And then there is FOMO. What is FOMO? Huh? Some people know it. This is all, what is that? Young adult, Praudha lingo. Okay. Yeah. FOMO means fear of missing out. So if I make the wrong choice, something else will happen. Something bad will happen because there might be a better choice somewhere else. So what to choose? And then one is paralyzed into not making a decision. So these are all hallmarks, characteristics of the age of youth. This is what happens. And then the I am bitten by the snakes of longing for the sense objects. So much longing. And that longing, really, if we analyze the truth of these longings, it is for a sense of belonging. When the belonging is not there, there is longing, really. That's what it is. There is alienation, there is insecurity, there is pain, there is sorrow, feeling bereft, feeling devoid of any connection. And that is where the longing and the insecurity, the twin foundations of samsara, arise from. And they are rooted, of course, in self-ignorance, which we talked about yesterday as being the master cause of all these difficulties. And so therefore here this longing is because one feels inadequate, because one feels insecure, because one feels that this insecurity is insurmountable. So therefore there is longing. And that longing, one does not see the roots of this longing, and the longing is personified into the pining for a particular object or a set of objects. Sometimes it's a person or people. And then, in the process of trying to get them, in the process of trying to fulfill these longings, one is totally exhausted. Why? Because whatever one wants, one never gets. Whatever one doesn't want, one gets double helpings of. This is the law of life. This is how it is. So the longing is not easy to fulfill, because especially if you desire another person, you're not easy to fulfill. That person may say, I don't want to be with you, finished. What are you going to do? Oh, please be my friend, but I don't want to. So you don't have any control over them. And so therefore this longing becomes problematic, because you are not in charge of fulfilling them. You cannot produce the result of action, as the Bhagavad Gita says in many places. And most famously in the verse, Karmani eva adhikarahate ma phaleshu kadachana. You only have the right over action. You are not the agent of the result of action. And so, to fulfill the longings, a series of actions are unleashed, one after the other. And each time one comes up disappointed, because you don't control all the variables. One does not control the variables because there are many hidden variables. You don't know. And the name for hidden variables is Ishvara, Bhagavan. That is the name of God. Hidden variable is there because you don't see it. It is invisible, yet it is like a rock in the way. That is why we begin with Jai Ganesha. This is what remove all these kinds of rocks in the way, especially in the spiritual quest. And so these longings are there, and then they are unfulfillable, many of them. And even if they are fulfilled, let us look on the bright side for just briefly. And even if they are fulfilled, what do they give? They are finite. They lead to more longing, more and more and more and more and more longing. In the Devi Mahatmya, which is a wonderful text of the glory of the Divine Mother, the great goddess, there she is set to battle these two kinds of asuras, demons. And so one of them, other one I forgot, but it's something similar. One of them is called Rakta Bija Asura. And what does that mean? It means that he had a boon. he had a boon that if anybody tried to kill him, even if they shed one drop of his blood, fell on the ground, then out of one drop, 1,000 clones of him would arise. And so this is exactly, and so there is no rakta bijasura or anything like that. There are no demons, but demons symbolize what happens to these unbridled longings. So one you try to fulfill, in the process you have 1,000 more waiting in abeyance to be attended to. When you do not act on a longing, it becomes a cause for frustration. An unacted longing becomes a cause for pain, sorrow, frustration. And it creates, as we talked about yesterday, a fear and a pressure to act. And so this is the situation called youth. And then what happens as a result? In the result of this pressure to produce to pursue the longings, dashtaha, the snake of the longing bites. What does it bite? It bites my discrimination, viveka, and it destroys my discrimination. It paralyzes my sense of discrimination. Dashto nashto vivekaha. So, discrimination between the finite and the infinite, discrimination between what I really want and what are the things I should really let go, discrimination between what is what is my responsibility, how can I contribute in this life, and what is not my responsibility, discriminations between myself and another, and all this is gone with the wind, so to speak. Why? Because there are certain other factors. Because how did I allow the snakes of longing to take a bite of my discriminative thinking? Because I was busy. Okay, what were you doing? I was busy. Suta dhana yuvati swadu saukhye. I was busy in the department of enjoyment, saukhya, enjoyment, deriving happiness from the following resources. Suta, child. Child means one's own child. Dhana, wealth. Yuvati. Yuvati means other young adults. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Here a man is writing. So Yuvati means woman. Yuna also we can take. Yuna means a young man. So this is, so I was busy with all this. Nishannaha means I had expertise. I have expertise in youth to eke out a little bit of happiness from these kinds of resources. And if you're asking, so what is wrong with all this? What is wrong with having children? What is wrong in amassing wealth? What is wrong in being interested in other young adults? And what is wrong in eking enjoyment out of this? Nothing is wrong. We are talking here of an, an addiction to the objects in the world at the cost of one's own uh, emotional growth, spiritual growth. That is what we are talking of. And that is why it becomes a liability. It becomes a liability because when one enters into a relationship from this pressure based longing, it is always a dysfunctional relationship. There is a terrible dependency created. If such and such a person is not there, I cannot function. If such and such an object is not there, I cannot function. And of course, it is impossible for the person or the object to be there all the time in an unchanging way. And because of that impossibility, one becomes subject to sorrow. One becomes totally subject to sorrow, pain, etc. And this is why it is not that there is anything wrong in having a family life. In fact, if one leads the family life properly, it can be a great source of growth. And it is an opportunity to grow together. There is nothing wrong with that. But here we are talking about a dysfunctional connection. In order to stave off the insecurity, if one goes about having a connection to one's resources, money, wealth, etc., or to the people in one's life, and it creates an insurmountable pressure for those longings to be fulfilled based on these one or two people in one's life, or a few people, and it creates a pressure for those people also to behave in certain ways, and then we have a dysfunctional relationship. And that is what is the hallmark of samsara. Dysfunctionality abounds all around. There is nothing but dysfunctionality. And then, so that is what. So I was an expertise. I had expertise. Nishandaha means I was an expert. What kind of an expert? I was an expert in getting my discrimination bitten away, eaten away by trying to fulfill this longing, this big black hole type or sized longing in the heart, by by small band-aids of family life, children, wealth, house, etc. You can add few other things as well. And then, he says, Shaivi chinta vihinam mama hridayam aho. Aho means alas. Alas, aho. Shaivi chinta vihinam. So as a result, mama hridayaha, my heart, alas, became empty, bereft. Vihinam, bereft. Bereft of what? Bereft of any desire to look for Lord Shiva. And Lord Shiva here is not, we don't have to take it exactly like Lord Shiva. Look for anything higher than these kinds of pursuits. There was no space for any kind of a higher pursuit. There was no space for any spirituality. There was no inkling for to initiate any kind of growth. We have been talking of the vikaras, the modifications from birth, youth, young, babyhood, youth, old age, death, etc. That happens automatically. That kind of a growth happens on its own. You don't have to stand in front of the altar and say, when will I get my first wrinkle, oh Lord? You don't have to pray for a wrinkle. It will come. It will definitely come. You don't have to pray for gray hair. That will also come. It comes naturally. But this desire this desire for a spiritual life, to invite Ishvara into one's life, and to seek something other than just the means and ends and this long list of wants, that is latent in the heart and must be initiated by the person. This does not happen automatically. One can be very intelligent, one can be very erudite, one can be Einstein, but then one can die away without knowing this knowledge, without understanding the truth of oneself. So to discover oneself one has to take some initiative. It does not happen automatically. And so here, that initiative, he says, I did not take. Shaivi chinta mama vihinam mama hridayam aho. Alas, I did not take this initiative. A very big regret. And and this is a regret that, we see even in the Kathopanishad. In the Kathopanishad, when Nachiketa goes straight for what he wants, in the boons given by Lord Yama, the third boon, he says, I would like to have this knowledge, the truth of myself. I want to know this. And Lord Yama, impressed with his perseverance, with his viveka, with his intellect, his buddhi, for someone so young, kind of reminisces on his own journey. And he says, alas, you have so much vairagya and you have so much knowledge, which I didn't in my time. Janami aham shevadhihi anityam. When I did this yajna that I have taught you, I knew that it could only be, it would only bring limited results. I knew that. I knew that it would bring only limited results and finite results because the dravya that we use, the materials that are used, wood is limited, ghee is limited, any other thing that we put in the homa, limited. Sometimes they put puffed rice and all these things, limited, finite. How can the finite yield the infinite? I knew this. And so, but still, Maya Chita Nachiketagnihi, this Homa he named after Nachiketa. He says, but still I could not stop offering it. Offering this Homa, which promised some kind of a life of a celestial. My longing to find out what this would be like, I could not stop myself from offering this fire ritual repeatedly, 3 times. And now he says, Adhruvaihi dravyaihi praptavan asmi aham nityam. So what kind of an eternity do I have? I am a celestial, all right. But look at the irony here. I am in the warehouse of various souls. Where do the souls go? I am in charge of sending them. Okay, Papa, this one goes here, animal birth, this one goes here, this one goes there, like this, so many things. This is what I am. I'm just putting all the various jivas, after they depart, they come to me, and I'm putting them on conveyor belts of various lifetimes. This is what I'm doing. You are by far so much more savvy than I am, and you are making the correct choices. So this kind of an initiation, it has to be initiated. This desire is there latent, but it has to, that desire to grow, that desire to grow not just physically but emotionally and spiritually, is to be initiated. And here the author is lamenting that this was not done when it could have been done. Shaivi chinta vihinam mama hridayam aho. Why was it not done? Mana garvadhirudham. Because the heart was riding. Rudham, arudham. The heart was riding high. On what? On the horses of mana and garva. Garva, pride. That's why I said praudhoham is very appropriate here. So the heart was riding on the horse of pride. Mana means, a very inflated sense of accomplishment and self respect. Ego. Ahankara is very big here when we say mana. I have done this, so therefore, because of who I am, I have to get respect. I have to be treated in a certain way. A sense of entitlement here, mana. And then garva, pride, arrogance. So I was riding, my heart was riding high on the horses of pride and arrogance. So where would I have the time? Where would I have the desire? Where would I have the wherewithal to initiate, forget initiate, to even think of the possibility that this growth might be there? Then what happens? We'll see tomorrow. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Thank you.